Hello and welcome to RetroQuest. My name's Jay and today we're playing Buck Bumble on the Nintendo 64, which was originally released in 1998. I never played this game back in the day and honestly I'd never heard of it until it was requested in the comments by a viewer, Keith, who has a YouTube channel called For the Love of Guitars. Check him out, I'll put a link in the description below. So I picked up a copy on eBay and I've given it a go so I could cover it on RetroQuest. So let's not waste any more time and let's boot it up. Buck Bumble was published by Ubisoft and released for the Nintendo 64 in 1998. It was developed by Argonaut Software, a British video game development company known for their work on the Star Fox series. Something that was immediately apparent as I started playing the game. The Star Fox feel to flight and combat immediately comes across, and the controls are very similar, even down to the loop-the-loop. The development of Buck Bumble was led by Carl Graham, who served as the concept creator and lead programmer. Other notable contributors included Tom Nettleship and Keith Weatherly in programming roles, and a team of artists including Giles Ford Crush, Juan Garcia and Adam Hill. The game's lead designer was Simon Keating, with Annalisa Lark also contributing to the design efforts. One of the significant technical challenges faced during the development was the implementation of the game's flight mechanics and controls, which needed to be both intuitive and responsive. This was particularly challenging given the limitations of the Nintendo 64 hardware. Additionally, the development team worked to integrate the rumble feature into the gameplay, enhancing the immersive experience by allowing players to feel the impact of getting hit or crashing. The soundtrack, composed by Justin Schiavone, was another distinctive aspect of the game. The team opted for a speed garage music style, aiming to match the futuristic and edgy vibe of the game. Schiavone specifically avoided more common genres like techno or jungle, aiming for something unique that would stand out and add to the game's overall atmosphere. Honestly, the music has no right to go as hard as it does, and it hits you as soon as the title screen appears, with this banger of a tune. Insane, right? Despite its innovative elements, the development team faced several criticisms post-release. Reviews often mention the game's heavy use of distance fog and lower graphical quality compared to other titles of the time. These issues were partly due to the limitations of the Nintendo 64 hardware and the ambitious nature of the game's 3D environment and mechanics. Buck Bumble's story is set in my home country, in a version of rural England where a chemical spill has wreaked havoc on the local insect population. The spill has mutated many insects into aggressive, intelligent creatures. As the titular character Buck Bumble, a cyborg bee, players embark on a mission to thwart the menacing force and save the insect world from total annihilation. Personally, I would have liked a fun intro to Buck, something Robocop-like where we see him getting his cyborg powers. Unfortunately, the opening narrative is told through text and on-screen, a couple of in-game panning shots of the early levels, which was a shame. The narrative begins with a freak chemical spill that drastically boosts the intelligence of the local insect life, transforming them into a malevolent force known as the Herd Army. This army, led by a fearsome queen, seeks to conquer the garden and ultimately the world. Buck Bumble, the only bee to resist these changes, is equipped with advanced cybernetic technology and weaponry, making him the perfect candidate to fight back and restore peace. His mission is to dismantle the herd's army plans and protect his fellow insects. Buck is known for his agility and combat skills both in flight and on the ground. The game is divided into multiple missions, each with specific objectives, ranging from defending bases to attacking enemy supply lines. This structure keeps the gameplay varied and engaging. Buck Bumble is a third-person shooter game that features full 3D graphics, providing an immersive experience. The game is set in various 3D environments, each with its own unique challenges and design. Now, to be transparent, I only played for a couple of hours to capture footage and experience some of the game for myself, and in that time I really struggled to get to grips with the gameplay, the visuals and the controls, so barely got out of the first few missions. I did eventually take the training mission, which did help me a lot. It helped me to learn a few moves and mechanics, like the fact that energy supplies come from a very specific plant in the game. But even in the training, the basics of the button layout are not explained, and they aren't covered in the pause menu or even the control config screens. I can only imagine this was covered in the manual back in the day, but as I got this cartridge only, I don't have that. Throughout the game, you play through 20 missions, engaging in both aerial and ground-based combat. The controls allow Buck to fly, hover and walk, making use of various futuristic weapons such as stun guns, laser guns, rocket launchers and guided missile launchers. This dual capability of flying and walking adds depth to the gameplay, providing different strategies for different scenarios. In the early levels that I played, I didn't find much use for walking, but I have to admit that flying felt really good and very familiar, especially if you played Star Fox, or Lilac Wars as I knew it in the UK. The game was designed to utilise the Nintendo 64's rumble feature, enhancing the tactile experience by making players feel the impact of its hits and crashes. It did add some additional immersion, and it made me remember the fun that the old rumble packs brought to the N64, as well as the frustrating need to swap that pack in and out to insert a memory card whenever you needed to save. Apart from the main campaign, Buck Bumble includes a multiplayer mode called Buzzball, and this soccer-like game lets two players control bees attempting to score goals, providing a fun and competitive break from the main storyline. Buck Bumble received mixed to positive reviews from critics upon its release. The game was praised for its innovative mechanics and fun multiplayer mode, but criticised for its technical shortcomings. IGN's Matt Casamassina rated the game 7.2 out of 10, describing it as the epitome of first-generation Nintendo 64 products. He noted that while the game had lower quality graphics and frame rate issues, it excelled in its flying controls and the design of the main character. The Buzzball multiplayer mode was highlighted as particularly addictive. GameSpot's Lauren Fielder gave Buck Bumble a lower score of 5.2 out of 10. She criticised the game's flying and walking controls and found the multiplayer modes to be lacklustre, describing them as seemingly quite literally thrown in. Despite this, she acknowledged the game was not terrible, but rather not a good game, due to its various flaws. Electronic Gaming Monthly, the game received a score of 6.62 out of 10, reflecting a genuinely moderate reception from the magazine. And finally, Next Generation rated the game 3 stars out of 5, referring to it as a diamond in the rough, with a few edges needing polishing but ultimately still shining. Now for the players' reception, I'd normally check Metacritic, but with very few player scores holding the game at 9.4 out of 10 and insufficient critic scores, I had to turn elsewhere. So, on Moby Games, Buck Bumble holds an average critic score of 76%, based on 19 ratings, and a player score of 3.4 out of 5, based on 8 ratings, which would suggest that players found the game enjoyable, but noted its imperfections. Buck Bumble didn't have any sequels or spin-offs. Despite its unique premise and innovative gameplay, the game remained a standalone title without further expansion in its storyline or additional games. There have been no official re-releases or ports of Buck Bumble on other platforms, and this game remains exclusively available on the Nintendo 64, and no subsequent versions were developed for newer consoles or handhelds. While Buck Bumble did not spawn a wide range of merchandise, it did have a notable peripheral in the UK called the Buck Bumble Pack. This was a third-party rumble pack designed to enhance the gameplay experience by providing tactile feedback during play. However, it was not licensed by Nintendo and was only available through select retailers. Buck Bumble stands as a unique and memorable entry in the Nintendo 64's library. It combined innovative gameplay mechanics with a distinctive soundtrack, creating an experience that resonated with many players despite its technical limitations. The game's use of the rumble feature and its engaging multiplayer modes were ahead of its time, contributing to its cult status among retro gaming enthusiasts. While Buck Bumble did not lead to sequels or spin-offs, its influence is felt in its daring design choices and its embrace of quirky, high-energy fun. It remains a testament to the creativity and experimentation of late 90s video game development, carving out its own niche in the history of gaming. For anyone interested in the evolution of 3D shooters and the diverse offerings of the Nintendo 64 era, Buck Bumble is certainly a worthy revisit. Its charm, ambition and distinctive style ensure it holds a special place in the annals of video game history. So that's it. That's my thoughts on Buck Bumble. I only played it for just a couple of hours, but I thoroughly enjoyed having a go at a new game, but an old game at the same time. Thank you to Keith for recommending it down in the comments, and if you've got any games that you'd like to see me play on RetroQuest, then you can get involved in the comments too. Let me know down below. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, it really does help the channel to grow. But for now, that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.